What's up, guys? So here we go, UFC 227 this Saturday, and I'll be honest. I think UFC 226 was better, as on paper. On paper speaking, you never know how an event is gonna be until it actually happens. Like, for example, the I think it was UFC 223 that was supposed to be Khabib versus Ferguson. That event went to shit, and on paper, but the event itself was pretty awesome. So yeah, you never know until it happens. I personally like it. TJ versus Cody is going to be a sick fight, and it's the rematch. We have two rematch for this fight. We have this one, the main event, Garbrandt versus Dillashaw. We also have the rematch of Demetrius Johnson, Henry Cejudo. And well, those are the two rematches. And so for this fight, I'll be doing 5 fights again. And for those of you wondering if I'm only gonna do 5 fights going forward, no, that's not the case. It's just a coincidence lately, because normally I'll try to pick the fights that the fans might be more interested in, and this fight doesn't really have too many big names. So, which obviously the main card has this four right here. And on the prelims, the one that I'm the more interested about is the Sayles versus Moraes, which is the one that I'll be covering. So yeah, guys. So for this event, I'll be doing 5 fights. I'll be doing the entire main card, except for Viana and Aldrich. And I said this before, and I'm gonna say it again. I stay away from women's MMA fights because they're very unpredictable. I'll give you an example. This past Saturday, I had Joanna Jędrzejczyk winning, but I thought it was going to be a complete, total domination. I thought that after losing back-to-back fights to Rose, she was going to come back, and make a statement and put a beating on Torres. And honestly, I thought at the end of the fight, I was like, holy shit, I don't know who won. I was like, it was a very close fight. I was surprised that it was not split, but yeah. You see, that's the perfect example. I thought Jędrzejczyk was going to destroy it, and she didn't, so that's why for the majority of them, I stay away from them. So that's it, guys. This 4 right here, and then on the prelims, I'm covering Moraes versus Sayles, because it should be a pretty sick fight. The best one of the prelims, in my opinion. Okay, so let's start with Dillashaw and Garbrandt. Alright, guys, so this fight is one of the hardest fights to predict that I've been doing since I opened my YouTube channel. Not in life, but since I started making videos. There's no way that anyone out there can say, 100% TJ or 100% Cody Garbrandt. I feel like you can flip a coin, for real. You can flip a coin, pick heads or tail for either one, and be confident with your pick. If this guy's fight 10 times, I could definitely see it go at 5-5. Very, very tough fight to call. So anyone that says that it should be a one-sided, they're full of shit. These guys are almost images of each other. They're very similar as far as the way how they fight, as far as the speed, the technique, the explosiveness, the fact that they both mix punches and kicks, and it makes sense. They both used to train at Team Alpha Male before TJ went his own way with Dwayne. But so let's get to. I'm gonna start with TJ Dillashaw. So, what is the best thing about TJ? If I had to say, I think it's his footwork, and it is the one thing that I think he has slightly better than Garbrandt. I think TJ's movement, in and out movement, is slightly better than Cody. Cody's a little bit more flat-footed than TJ. You can definitely see that TJ stays on his toes. He's very light on his feet. But so is Cody. I'm not saying Cody is low or nothing, but I'm just saying TJ is slightly better in that aspect. When TJ first won the the title, he made Renan Barão look like an amateur. When people talk about guys that, souls were taken away, or that is one case that you can see, man, Renan Barão is definitely not the same after the first fight with TJ. And Renan Barão was a guy that was with I think 30-1 record or something. He was being talked. He was already in the pound for pound list. He was a number one bantamweight, and people were starting to talk about the greatest ever. People were saying just a few more fights on this guy Barão, and he's gonna be the greatest ever. I think had he won a couple more fights, he probably would have been the number one pound for pound. And TJ went in and made him look like shit both times. So that was impressive. That was one of those fights that, I take my hats off to you if you said TJ was gonna win that fight. The first fight, second fight, yeah, easy to call. But yeah, that's the first time that we saw TJ being the dominant guy that he is. TJ has a very interesting fighting style where it's like he'll put his hand out there, like if he was measuring height. It's weird. It must be something that he learned from Duane Ludwig. I don't know if he does it to confuse his opponent or, just like a habit. Kind of like, I don't know if you all remember Josh Koscheck used to have this habit where he would pull his shorts up. I don't know. I couldn't really tell why he does it, but he'll do it. It's almost like if he's, like I said, measuring height with his hand. He likes to throw a lot of kicks without setting them up, which, one would say, that could cost him, but he actually landed that kick on Cody Garbrandt on that second round. It was the kick that dropped Cody. I can't really say for sure if that kick was the beginning of the end for Cody. Hard to say. I think Cody felt it, but I don't think it has anything to do with the fact that TJ later on landed the punch that knocked him out. They both have a similar opponent with Dominic Cruz, but man, the fights were very different. See, the fight between between TJ and Cruz was very competitive. If I remember correctly, I thought TJ won that fight. I couldn't tell you here what round I gave to TJ and what rounds I gave to Cruz, but at the end of the fight, I was like, yeah, I think TJ had it 3-2, and I could see it being a split, but I thought it was going to be TJ, but no, it ended up being Cruz. However, the fight between Cody and Cruz was a complete domination from Cody Garbrandt. It was 50-45, if I'm not mistaken. He dropped Cruz 4 or 5 times. He was completely toying with Cruz, a guy that was known for not getting hit, not taking damage. Cody beat him up very well. So that is interesting. It's a way that it just shows you how styles make fights. Based on that fight, one would say, "Oh, Cody should destroy TJ," but no. This fight is actually a lot more competitive than. That's why MMA math doesn't work, and that's a perfect example why it doesn't work. So now let's go to Cody. So like I was saying, very similar. Amazing footwork like TJ, very fast. So I give a little bit more power to Cody on his punches than TJ, but not by much. I think Cody just packs a little bit more power. The same way how I think TJ has a slightly more a better footwork. It's not by much. It's a slight advantage. That's what I would say. However, I think Cody is not only is he a little bit stronger in his punches, but I think Cody's a little bit more explosive and just a little bit faster with his combinations. And Cody also has very, very good counters that he showed versus Cruz, and he showed also versus Ricardo Almeida. The one thing that I question about Cody, and by no means am I accusing him of it, is before Cody fought Dominic Cruz mentioned many times that he knew Cody has a weak chin. I don't know where he got it from. I think it was something that he saw back in the day when Cody was boxing. So that's something, to consider out there. Does Cody really have a bad chin, and that's why TJ finished him with one punch? I mean, that one punch basically was what was the beginning of the end, but who knows? I couldn't say. I think it's too early to say that Cody has a suspect chin or a weak chin, because TJ has been finished also, and you could tell. So in their first fight, that first round was very close, very very close, up until the last 5 seconds, where Cody landed a punch that dropped TJ. And this is something that I agree with, that you can make the case for. If that round, if he would have landed that punch when there were 20 seconds left instead of 5 seconds left, you could argue that there's a chance Cody would have finished that fight in that first round, because when TJ got up, he was a little bit wobbly, and he was kind of wobbling back, walking to his corner. So he has a good point. A lot of people say, "Oh, would have, should have, could have don't count," and yeah, at the end of the day, they don't. But still, it helps you to look into it. It means that Cody can definitely land the punch that puts TJ away, and he has the tools for it. And that's basically, with all I said, that's why I'm saying that this fight is really hard to call. You can flip a coin, and I would be okay with whatever answer you go to. But I go with, I will give my prediction. And it's not, and no, I did not flip a coin. I think Cody's going to win. I think that the fact that he was so emotional, so angry, and so much hatred towards TJ on that first fight, I think it played part on his on that fight. He was extremely cocky, and he was making fun of TJ during that first round when, like, every time TJ missed a shot, Cody would do that little, like if he was doing, like bullfighting almost. And I think I'm pretty sure he's learned his lesson, and his coaches have, talked to him about, hey man, put that aside. Go into this fight 100% with your skills. Leave the anger, the emotions, the hatred out of the cage, and just use your speed and explosiveness. I'll say it again. If these guys fight 21 times, I could totally see it 11 going for one and 10 going for the other one. 11 would be Cody, or maybe 12 and 9 to kind of give you a better idea. So with that being said, my prediction for this one is Cody Garbrandt. I think he finishes TJ maybe round 1, round 2. I'll go with round 1. I think he'll be patient and wait to explode and counter and land a punch that drops TJ and finishes him. So yeah. So Cody Garbrandt, KO TKO round 1, and new. But be careful. If you're gonna bet, man, I really recommend, don't bet on this one. Sit down and enjoy it. Very tough fight to call, but I'm going with Cody. KO TKO round 1. He gets his title back. So after that, we have Johnson versus Cejudo, which is the other rematch of this event. If this is a weird situation, because I have never seen someone improve so much, and I'm talking about Henry Cejudo. I'll put it this way: I didn't even watch. I mean, I watched the fight of Cejudo and Demetrius when it happened back 3 years ago. But for this rematch, I didn't even watch that fight, because the Henry Cejudo that fought TJ 3 years ago, it's not the same Henry Cejudo that is fighting TJ this Saturday. A complete, totally evolved animal is Henry Cejudo nowadays. The way he has improved, and it has been shown in his last, I think, 3 or 4 fights, it's just amazing how much Henry has evolved. If you have watched my videos before, you know how I mentioned that guys that made it to an Olympic level are special athletes. And, well, here we go again. I talked about Cormier, how he's an Olympic wrestler. Well, here we go. Henry Cejudo, 2008, gold medalist, Olympic wrestler. Not even Cormier had that. I think Cormier was maybe bronze or 4th place. I don't know. But that just shows you, and that is something that you need to know. Guys that made it to an Olympic level of wrestling, is because they're guys that are extremely disciplined, and they have a lot of mental toughness, and they put the work. You don't become an Olympic level athlete by not putting a lot of work into what you do. So, that's something that, Henry Cejudo has going on for him. On their first fight, I gave Henry Cejudo no chance. But it was because of the previous fights before that. I have watched this guy, and I was like, wow, this guy's an Olympian? He was nothing special to me. And I remember I called it, Demetrius Johnson's going to toy with him. And that's why he did. He finished him round one with a whole bunch of knees to the... I think it was knees to the body or to the face. But after the fight, I don't know what Henry Cejudo did, but man, he's a completely different fighter. If I had to say what's the thing that I think him the most improve, one is his kicks. Cejudo will throw a kick really fast, really powerful, with a lot of confidence. Why? He has no problem taking... he's not going to worry about you taking him down, because chances are you won't succeed. Well, yeah, there you go. 100% takedown defense. That's what an Olympian does. And if you take him down, chances are he'll get up. That Olympic wrestling background helps him with those kicks. The way his stance has changed to, he has a very karate way of standing, like, wide hips, kind of like Machida or Connor. Kind of like Wonder Boy too, but I don't know, not really like Wonder Boy. Wonder Boy had his own style of his own. But even in the fight so he's coming from a 2-fight winning streak. One was versus Anthony Pettis, which he absolutely 100% control on the ground. Every time Pettis, Cejudo took him down, there was nothing Pettis could do other than defend, which he did a good job. But Pettis is a good fighter. Wilson Reyes, he destroyed him in the striking department. He showed him a lot faster, very fast guy. And then the fight with the previous fight, which was the one after he lost to Johnson, was versus Joseph Benavides, which the only reason he lost was because he got deducted a point, and or else Henry Cejudo would be on a 3-fight winning streak, including Benavides. So, but yeah. Very, very good. The only thing that I noticed about Cejudo is that on that third round versus Pettis, you could tell that he was starting to get tired a little bit, and that's going to come into play a lot in this fight. But yeah, amazing wrestler, very powerful kicks, very fast and powerful kicks. His striking has improved a lot. A lot of pressure, and just an amazing wrestler with that you could tell has put all his effort from wrestling into his striking, and it shows, especially in his last few fights. But who is he taking on? He's taking on Demetrius Johnson, I was about to say the pound for pound #1 fighter in the world, but not anymore. Actually, Daniel Cormier took that spot, but it's arguable. Some people still say it's Demetrius, some people say it's DC. And if you talk about pound for pound, I guess it makes sense that DC is the one, because he has light heavyweight and has fought heavyweight. If there's one thing that have made Demetrius Johnson get some criticism, is the fact that he won't fight that he has refused to fight TJ Dillashaw. And that hurts his reputation. A lot of people say that he's afraid of him and that he doesn't want to ruin his legacy or record, whatever. Who knows? I can definitely see them. I feel like after this fight, I guess it all is going to depend, right? If Dillashaw wins, I don't see this fight happening. I'm sorry, if Dillashaw loses and Demetrius wins, I don't see it happening. But if Demetrius wins and TJ Dillashaw wins, hell, that's probably what they'll do. At that point, I think Demetrius will not have. I think he'll have to take that fight if that happens. But hopefully that doesn't happen, because I care about my predictions. So hopefully Garbrandt wins. Hell, make Demetrius versus Garbrandt. That'd be cool. But okay, so Demetrius Johnson is the perfect fighter. The perfect fighter. There's nothing that Demetrius Johnson doesn't do well. cardio. Forget about 25 minutes. This guy could go an hour and not get tired, which is something that you cannot say about Henry Cejudo. Not only is he unlimited cardio, he's extremely fast, extremely technical. He will submit you. He will out-grapple you. He will not. A lot of people used to say that TJ didn't finish people, but he has finished, I think, 6 out of his last 7 fights. Most of them by submission, but versus Joseph Benavidez, he showed one-punch knockout ability. Put Benavidez out cold with one punch. I feel like Demetrius doesn't get a lot of respect for the fact that he's a 125 pounder. Guys out there in the real world that weigh 200, 220, they probably see this guy and they're like, "Are you kidding me? This guy wouldn't do shit to me." And I mean, they have a point. If you see Demetrius Johnson in real life, he looks tiny, so definitely doesn't look like an intimidating guy. But that has nothing to do with the skill that he has. In his last fight versus Ray Borg, man, he just showed what a complete MMA fighter he is. He did everything in that fight. Body kick, leg kick, head kick, front kick. I take you down. I punch you. His combinations from kicks to strikes to a takedown, and then the way how he finished that fight. I don't know if you guys remember, but it was like a suplex, and it's not like he slammed Ray Borg and then on the ground he locked in the armbar. No. At the same time that Ray Borg was flying, about to hit the floor, Demetrius Johnson locked in the armbar. So by the time he hit the floor, the armbar was already locked. That is ridiculous. It requires a lot. The speed that Demetrius Johnson has to have in order to do that is absolutely ridiculous. And what he showed in that fight, and this is a situation where I don't think I can totally see Demetrius winning the grappling versus Cejudo, even though Cejudo is an Olympic wrestler, or was. So this is my prediction for this one. I think on that first round, Henry Cejudo puts up a very decent fight, but I think he spends a lot of energy trying to hurt Demetrius, and I could even say Cejudo might win the first round. I think in that second round he will put up a decent round, but towards the end he'll start to fade, and I think on that third round Demetrius will take over, start beating him up, and I think Demetrius is going to win 4th round submission. That's my prediction for this one. To summarize it, I think Henry Cejudo puts out a very decent fight at the beginning, maybe round 1, round 2. Eventually, all his skills are not enough for Demetrius, and Demetrius takes over and finishes him 4-round submission, and he shows once again. I think the cardio is going to be a big issue here. I think Cejudo's going to spend a lot of energy trying to finish Johnson, and it's not going to work. It's going to get him tired, and that will allow Johnson to take him down and submit him. So Demetrius Johnson submission round 4. That's my prediction for this one. Alright, so there we go to Cup, Swanson, and Moicano. And I'm going to start with Moicano. Moicano is a really good striker, an amazing striker. And let me tell you about his last fight. So his last fight versus Kelvin Kattar, I actually had Kattar winning. And I had Kattar winning based on what Kattar did to Shane Burgos. And that is based on what Shane Burgos was doing to other people. Shane Burgos was showing a lot of confidence and amazing striking. And Kattar outboxed him and finished him. Like, complete domination by Kattar. Coming into this fight with Moicano, I was like, Kattar is too much. I think his striking will be too much for Moicano. Man, I was wrong. Holy shit! What a striking clinic that Moicano put on Kattar. Moicano is a very fast striker. Has a very fast jab and very powerful leg kicks. And here's the thing: not only is it the outside leg kick, but it's the inside leg kick. Why? Because Moicano keeps switching stances. You know, there's not too many fighters out there that can go from southpaw to orthodox the way Moicano does it, and he does it perfectly. Like if he's landing kicks that is hurting you, which he did versus Cater, and Cater would switch stance. Moicano was like, okay, I'll switch stance too, and then I'll chew up the inside of your leg. Man, not too many fighters can do that. He moves very well. He moves in and out very well from punches, and has very nasty, very good counters, explosive counters, where he will mix in a few punches and an instantaneous switch kick that I don't even know if you can call that switch kick, because he switches from orthodox to southpaw so quick that it could just be a roundhouse to the body, or I don't know if that's considered a roundhouse kick to the head. I don't know, but a body kick, a liver kick, and I'm saying I don't know if I can call it a switch kick, because maybe he's a southpaw when he does it. So nice combinations, nice counters, very explosive. So a complete full arsenal of striking from Moicano, from punches to body kicks to leg kicks, inside leg kicks, outside leg kicks, and all of that with a very educated jab. Now let's look at his previous fight, the one before Cater. Who was it? Brian Ortega, the guy that everybody's calling the next champ and whatever. Guys, if you have seen that fight, and if you actually remember it, not just the ending, but the entire fight, Moicano was absolutely giving Brian Ortega a striking clinic. And I talk about this for UFC 226 when Brian Ortega was supposed to fight Max Holloway. God damn it, I'm still upset about that. If you guys watched that fight, so the first round between Moicano and Ortega was very close. I can see some people arguing that Ortega won, but no. But the way I see Moicano won. That second round, though, what a dominant round for Moicano. Absolutely beating up Ortega on the stand-up. To the point that Ortega was, he couldn't do shit. Every single takedown attempt that Brian Ortega tried to do, Moicano stopped it. So that just shows you he also has grappling too. But with that being said, Brian Ortega doesn't really have very good takedowns. So the way I see it is Moicano beat him first round, beat the crap out of him that second round. He's beating him the third round, and for whatever reason, Moicano is the one that shoots for the takedown and gets caught in that guillotine. I tell you guys, if it wasn't because Moicano did that, Moicano would be in the spot that Ortega is right now. So yeah, pretty amazing striker, Moicano. Also bigger than Cub and younger than Cub. 71, 70. So he's fighting Cub Swanson, that is on a 2-fight losing streak versus Brian Ortega, which he was also beating, and Frankie Edgar. So Cub Swanson is he's a veteran of the sport. He always puts on a show. This guy is something. I don't know how many bonuses for Fight of the Night Cub Swanson has won, but every time this guy comes to fight, he comes to fight and put on a show. And overall, a very good striker, very technical striker. He uses his jab very well, usually to set up his big punches. One thing he doesn't have though is the one-punch knockout power, and I think that is going to be something that would definitely be really useful for this fight. But he doesn't have it. He's a volume puncher. On his last fight with Frankie Edgar, which he lost by dominant victory by Edgar, the entire first round he was on the defensive mode, just backing up, throwing a few jabs here and there. But he basically got outworked by Edgar on that first round up until the last 5 seconds. So, on that first round, backs up the entire round, and seconds into that remaining on that first round, I don't know, he wakes up, he throws a powerful leg kick that lands, followed by a wheel kick also that lands, and then a body kick that also lands. And I was like, what the hell, where did that come from? But overall, very solid round for for Frankie Edgar on that one. Then on the second round was also very similar to the first round. Cub Swanson backing up the entire time. And the thing is, I don't understand if it was because Frankie was too quick, or he felt Frankie's power and he was afraid. But he did not engage up until that third round, where I guess he knew he needed to win. Then he started to actually land punches and bloodied up Frankie Edgar's nose, and it started to show more aggression. But overall, he stayed very technical. Like I said, he'll throw 4, 5, 6 jabs back to back, and to see if he can set up a big right hand, big straight right hand. Not a one-punch knockout power for sure. But let's look at his second to last fight, which happened to be the same as Moicano. It's the same thing about Brian Ortega. So if you watch that fight, which Cub lost second round submission, I gave the first round to Cub Swanson. He was the better striker. Again, this guy's a really good striker. Every single takedown attempt from Brian Ortega, Cub Swanson stopped it easy. Towards the end of that first round, Ortega got a hold of Cub Swanson's neck, which is what Ortega's actually good at, when he gets a hold of a limb or a neck, and took him down that way. But Cub survived. Really, every single time that and that really doesn't come into this fight, because I don't believe that Moicano will try to take Cub Swanson down. And if Cub tries, Moicano will be more than prepared to stop it. This fight, guys, is gonna be a striking battle, and Moicano's gonna win. That's my prediction for this fight. I see him. I think the big problem for Cub there's a few problems that Cub has coming to this fight. One, he is not bigger than Moicano. He's not stronger than Moicano. He doesn't have more reach than Moicano. That, combined with the fact that he does not possess one-punch knockout power. See, Moicano ate a huge right hand from Cater, and like nothing, he just walked through it. He ate a few shots from Jeremy Stevens too, and ain't nothing. He has one loss on his record, and it was his mistake for shooting on a guy like Brian Ortega. I think Moicano is going to put a beating on Cub. I think he'll have a dominant first round that will wear Cub out, and I think he'll finish in round 2. My prediction for this one is Moicano KO TKO round 2. Now we go to Thiago Santos versus Kevin Holland. Let's start with Santos. So this guy's a striker, a really good striker with a lot of power, and especially his kicks. I think that's the best thing about his striking. Very powerful leg kicks, body kicks. He'll target the liver, to make sure he puts you down. Not just a very fast or powerful strike, but very technical too. That's really throw wild and crazy things. Real quick, let's take a look at his last fight, which only lasted about 2 minutes and 20 seconds versus David Branch. Thiago Santos was winning that fight. In the 2 minutes and 20 seconds that fight lasted, he was throwing his kicks, landing big shots on David Branch. But what happened? Well, what happened is MMA, and this happens. And not only that, but it's MMA, and David Branch has power. David Branch, it seemed like he was feeling the power of Santos, so he faked the takedown. Well, I don't know. I can't tell if he faked the takedown or actually went, but decided not to towards the end, and then ended up in a very close, almost like a clinching position with Santos, and then he threw a right hook that put Santos away cold. Which takes me to the next point, so something to consider. Thiago Santos' chin has been cracked, I think 3 or 4 times. I know Branch did it, Musasi did it, and somebody else did it. And Vicente Luque. But those are all really powerful guys, so there's no shame in getting knocked out by those guys. Those guys have knocked out a lot of people. I'm just saying that chin has been tested. But on his fight before that versus Smith, which is this, I think it's Robert Smith, which is the same Smith that just absolutely destroyed Shogun and Rashad Evans. However, that was a light heavyweight, so who knows how much. I mentioned this on my previous prediction, second to last prediction, how much of Smith weight cut affected him, but Thiago Santos dominated him, and he showed unorthodox stuff, like he would throw a wheel kick that landed on Smith, and he showed grappling too, that when he got taken down by Smith, he reversed him and controlled him for a lot of that fight. And then how did he finish him? With that liberty kick. He's done it a few times in his career. He's a very tall, lanky guy that and throws again a powerful kick to the body. What's interesting about Thiago Santos is he seems to be a guy that tries to play the mean, angry guy, but I don't think it works for him, to be honest. You're not a mean guy, Santos. I think he should fight with just get that out of the octagon. He's not intimidating anybody. Doesn't matter how much of a mean mug he puts. His skill, though, again, amazing striker, very decent grappling. He knows how to get out of bad positions, but that won't come into play in this fight. So he's fighting Kevin Holland, and guys, I always tell you, I don't like to bullshit you. I've only seen one fight from this guy, and it's his last fight, which because it's the one that shows his more up-to-date skill, and luckily it went 3 rounds, so I got to see his. Man, I gotta tell you, there's nothing special about Kevin Holland. A very tall, lanky guy. He moves around a lot. He never stays stationary. He showed on his last fight, he fought this guy that I think he had 11-inch reach advantage, and this guy had maybe almost like 2 feet taller than this guy. It was like, I'm not trying to be mean, but it was like a giant midget. I can't remember seeing a fight where the size advantage was so big, and even then you would think that with all that reach he would have dominated that guy Santiago more, but solid victory for him. But he still ate a lot of shots from a much smaller, much shorter, kind of chubby guy in Santiago. He showed a very nice leg kick, that I will admit, but nothing that Thiago Santos has never seen. He showed a very cocky attitude. It reminded me of Bobby Green, where his corner's talking to him, and he'll be like, "Yes, sir, I understand, sir," and he will make conversation during the fight while he was fighting Santiago. And I don't know, it just came out very cocky. He likes to throw a wheel kick, but very slow. Also, on his fight with Santiago, which was the one that he did on Dana White's Contenders, I have never seen anyone do this. He was like a hammer fist, but from a stand-up position. I have never seen that in my life. Usually people that throw hammer fist are when either they're doing ground and pound, or they're at side control, or somebody has them against the cage and they're about to take them down, then they'll throw hammer fist. But I've never seen someone do it just from a regular stand-up fight. It was very weird. Apparently it's a kung fu move. Doesn't look very effective at all. And another thing I noticed is that a few moments he would charge towards this guy Santiago. Very amateur-like. I just don't think it's gonna work versus Santos. My prediction for this one is Thiago Santos. KO TKO round 1 body kick. I think the speed is gonna be the experience, and overall the skills are superior. I think he'll find his range, just a few minutes into the first round, and he'll land a body kick that will drop Kevin Holland. So that's my prediction for that one. Thiago Santos KO TKO round 1 liver shot. Alright guys, and then we go to Shimon Moraes versus Matt Sayles. So I'll start with Moraes. So Shimon Moraes is specifically a really good Muay Thai striker. He'll throw a lot of leg kicks, a lot of body kicks. So he's 9-1, but that one loss is to Sabit Magomedsharipov, which is I've said this before in my videos. That guy Sabit is the dark horse in the 145 division. He's the guy that nobody has noticed yet, but he's about to make noise. Losing to that guy is no shame, in my opinion. But on that fight, Shimon showed, well, one, Sabit is a really good. This is another fight that is not going to go to the ground. So that's. There's no point in analyzing that. But if the case it does, even though he got submitted after the overwhelming punishment that Sabit gave him, he still showed the ability to get off from full mount. Like Sabit mounted him and he got out of it. I haven't seen any grappling from Matt Sayles. He's purely a striker. This guy, he blocks body kicks with his shin. I have never seen that. I know professional Muay Thai fighters do that, but usually guys either, they block it with their arms or they'll just eat it. Usually guys that check kicks, then they'll use their chin or whatever. I've never seen somebody check body kicks with his chin. It's amazing. The fighters do that. He does it. So, very good Muay Thai, very good striker. He has beat a lot of good guys in like that guy Luis Palomino, who had a brutal fight with Justin Gaethje. Shimon Moraes beat him solid. The level of competition that Moraes has fought compared to Sayles is miles apart. So much superior, Shimon Moraes. So he's fighting Matt Sayles, that is making his UFC debut. He's an okay, decent striker. Loves his right hand. That's his weapon of choice. It's weird. He throws a right hand that is like a mixture of a straight right and an overhand right. But it's very powerful and very fast. I will admit it to that. However, it's one of those things where when you look really good, when you fight lower competition, a good example of that is Ricardo Almeida. The guy looks amazing against the lower tier of the fighters. But when they put in someone okay, or not even okay, but medium decent, then he doesn't look good at all. And I think that's what's going to happen on this fight. Making his UFC debut versus this guy that has monster experience, like I said, Sabit, Palomino. I see this being a complete domination from Shimon Moraes. I think it's going to show Matt Sayles what a really good striker actually can do, and just give him a striking clinic. I think it's gonna go to decision, but a solid clinic destruction, solid victory by Shimon Moraes. So that's it, guys. My quick summary, like always, I have Cody Garbrandt by KO TKO round 1. I have Demetrius Johnson by 4th round submission, and Henry Cejudo puts up a very good fight the first couple rounds. I have Moicano by KO TKO round 2. I have Santos KO TKO round 1 liver shot, getting specific on that one. And then I have Shimon Moraes by decision. And the last thing that I will add, guys, is just so you guys see it, because I talk about this on my previous fight for topology. This way, nobody says that, making shit. I know this is me, and I'm showing you right now. If you had a topology account, this is legit. And here we go. Garbrandt KO TKO round 1. Johnson submission round 4. And Moicano KO TKO round 2. Santos KO TKO round 1. And where's that other one? And Moraes by decision. I don't know if I'll be doing all these 12 fights by the time, because I don't know. I have to look a lot more. I'll do more research and look at my fighters. So I don't know, but I will show it on the review that I do after the fight. I will definitely show topology. So one more time: Garbrandt, KO TKO, round 1. Johnson, submission, round 4. Moicano, KO TKO, round 2. Santos, KO TKO, round 1. Moraes by decision. Alright guys, don't forget to subscribe, comment, tell me what you agree with, disagree with, talk shit, whatever you want, and enjoy the fights this Saturday. Have a good day.